Title: The Strings of Elijah, 13-year-old. Daniel Carter stood quietly, just outside the towering gates of Northbridge Academy, his fingers clutching the frayed strap of his old, beaten-up backpack. The school stood before him like some grand fortress, walls of deep red brick covered in crawling ivy, steeped in age, wealth, and stories whispered down through generations of elite families. It was beautiful, but intimidating. For Daniel, this place didn't just look like another world, it was another world. He was the brand-new scholarship kid, 13 years old, a long way from home. And by the way the other students glanced at him, quick, questioning, unfamiliar, he was also clearly one of the only black students walking these halls. He took a deep breath. Remember what Grandpa always said? His mother's voice echoed in his memory, warm and firm from earlier that morning as she lovingly adjusted the collar of his shirt. Your mind is your instrument, Daniel, so play it well. He had nodded then, not trusting his voice. Now, standing at the edge of this world of polished uniforms and polished people, he tried to push the nerves deep down. This scholarship, it was more than a spot at a fancy school. It was their shot. His ticket out. Out of the neighborhood. Out of the struggle. Into something new. Something more. As the bell rang sharp and clear, students rushed past him, laughing without a care, their conversations full of tales about summer adventures in the Alps or ski lodges in Colorado. Worlds he'd only seen in magazines. Daniel tightened his grip on the strap of his backpack like it was the only thing grounding him, and stepped forward. You must be Daniel, came a voice, tall man, kind face, warm smile. I'm Mr. Bennett, history teacher. Principal Reynolds asked me to show you around. Relief surged through Daniel like a wave. Mr. Bennett was the first black face he'd seen since arriving. And that, in a place like this, meant something. It meant everything in that moment. Thank you, sir, Daniel murmured, almost too softly to hear. As they walked through bright, echoing corridors, Mr. Bennett pointed out the classrooms, lockers, and study halls. Most of the staff here mean well, he said, voice calm but deliberate. But some of them might take a little while to adjust. Daniel didn't need it explained. He knew exactly what Mr. Bennett meant. This wasn't his first time being the new kid, the one who had to work twice as hard, just to be seen half as much. They stopped briefly outside the music room, where Daniel's eyes caught a flash of a gorgeous grand piano through the glass, polished black, shining under the lights like it belonged in a concert hall. You play? Mr. Bennett asked casually. No, sir, Daniel said quickly, almost by instinct. It was easier than explaining how he'd spent countless nights learning under the watchful eye of Grandpa Elijah, violin in hand, in the cramped quiet of their apartment, where the music filled the silence and meant everything. That violin now lay tucked away at home, wrapped in cloth like a secret only he still carried. Later, in English class, Daniel sat in the very back. Mrs. Langston, sharp-eyed, confident, led a lively discussion about To Kill a Mockingbird. When Daniel spoke up, offering a thoughtful analysis about justice and empathy, the class went still. Well, she said, raising her eyebrows, clearly impressed. Someone did their summer reading. Heads turned. Students stared. Daniel kept his eyes down, heat creeping into his cheeks. But lunchtime was worse. He sat alone, picking at the edges of a sandwich, while the chatter around him overflowed, stories about European boarding schools, sailing adventures, languages learned in Tuscany. Then, hey, a girl slid into the seat across from him. Long dark hair, an easy smile. I'm Leia. Your insight in English class? That was amazing. Daniel blinked, a little stunned. Thanks, I'm Daniel. I know, she smiled. New kids stand out. Especially the smart ones. For the first time since arriving, Daniel felt his shoulders relax. He smiled, really smiled. But that fragile feeling cracked the very next morning.